Like Joe Dirte.
Joe Dirte.
Whole family of rats found in Joe Dirt's mullet.
You go practice falling down. I'll be there in a minute. It's like the pinnacle of American Center right there.
Oh, it's so funny. Yeah, my other car's in the shop getting a footprint gas pedal and stuff.
One of my male Cyania, his name is Kick and Wang.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
That's a great name.
Change your name from Kick and Wang to Kick and Ass. I would. Oh, well. Anyways, welcome everyone. This is episode 158 of the Herpeticulture Podcast. I am Justin Smith of Palmetto Coast Exotics.
I'm Jacob Broads with Longleaf Reptilia.
And this week we are joined by Mr. Dylan Shows to talk about some. I'm actually like super pumped about this episode.
Yeah.
I haven't since we initially talked about it.
Yeah.
Like snake aversion training for dogs. So we'll get into that here in a few, but real quick, this show is brought to you by BlackBoxCages.com, Facebook, Instagram. Check out their website to place an order, or if you're not sure what to get, send them a message. Either you can do it, I think, on Google. You can send a message on Facebook, send a message on Instagram. Someone's going to answer you, and we're going to get back to you pretty quick.
They are very responsive. You have no problem getting in touch with them, and their cages and racks are so versatile. It's incredible. A lot of options to add on either or really, and they're just a fantastic product.
If I have time this weekend, I may do a XR20 review video. We'll see. I always want to do videos, and then it's like my days off. I get so backed up on other stuff that it just doesn't happen. So check them out. And then Steve Snake's Ray and his Venom Hot Sauce. You get some hot sauce. You're helping Steve out with all of his public education, rehabilitation of snakes and other herps that are brought to him, relocations, rescues.
Yep, rescues.
He has a collection of animals that he's rehabbing, and his personal collection that he uses to educate people. So if you're getting his hot sauce, you're helping him out. SteveSnaketuary.com.
Yep, it does take unwanted snakes. So if you have a pet snake that you don't need anymore, please do not release it and give it to Steve.
Yeah.
Give it a good home.
Yeah. So what's happening, man? Is there a delay?
Oh, there you are. Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, gotcha. Sorry, there's a little delay. My bad. No, nothing. Just, hanging out. Long day at work. Just ready to talk some snakes and stuff like that.
Hell yeah.
I don't have a whole bunch of people to talk snakes with in Reno, so it's fun to be able to do that.
Awesome. Yeah.
I love
Isn't
them.
that the smallest city in the U.S.?
biggest little city in the world.
There you go.
It's a funny place. Don't tell people, but it's pretty rad. Yeah.
I mean, Reno 911 was
oh my god,
an amazing show.
Where you from? You don't know Gator.
So a lot of that,
little thing. Go blueberries over here making a fruit salad.
A lot of that was filmed in Reno, but I think
believe it.
Most of it was in Southern California.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, that Gator part, man, that was
amazing. I could watch
how
that.
They just left him.
Yeah, I could watch that clip on replay, man. Oh god,
what's
so funny.
You know about no Gator?
So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's split to the double. That means this Gator 50-year-old. You've been attacked before. You know how to approach.
Don't say this while I'm trying to light my cigar.
Oh god!
I need to watch that again now,
dude. I've watched it so many times. I can't.
Oh, so just quick general intro as far as like what you're keeping right now, who you are, what you do in the herp hobby, herpeticulture.
So I have a pretty small collection. I've got like 25 snakes, but made sure the ones that I have were something that I really wanted to keep for a long time, work with. So my biggest focus is Darwin carpets. Absolutely love them.
Nice.
Yeah, I think they're awesome. I love the prehensile tail and just looking at them. They're so beautiful.
Yeah.
I've got some stuff from most of my stuff is from Inland Reptiles, Nick Mutton, and Martin Roseman, some other stuff.
Yep.
And yeah, I just focus in on specific lines. So I've got the albino tiger stripe strap from Nick and RSA line from Martin. And I'm trying to get the other 2 bloodlines available in the U.S. and kind of stick with that stuff because they're my favorite. And then I just want to keep rolling with them.
Yeah.
Just
Nothing wrong with
super
that at
fun.
all.
Yeah. And
some of those smoking hot, just regular sort of wild type Darwins, man. Or
Yeah, they're almost as cool as pop ones.
no,
but
I mean they're like a good looking pop one on crack.
now I've got pop ones too. So I've got
okay. Well, you know, I'll get into
I've got some double het exenic granites and
Nice.
a pair of wild type. Boy,
Nice.
yeah. And another thing I really like is Liasis. I've got Maclots. I've got Timor Island locality Maclots. A pair of F1s from Fascination Herp. They imported the adults and then sold the babies. I got a pair from them, and then I've got a male from Ryan Young and a female from Nick Mutton, and that's kind of my 2.2 of the Timor Island Max. So
Nice.
they're really fun. They're spicy though. Like you know, the female, the F1 female is my biggest. She's about 4 feet now, and I was cleaning cages, and I used a nice like cocoa sphagnum vermiculite substrate mix, and I had this big 55-gallon bucket full of it in the snake room because I was redoing things from the spring. And the female Liasis disappears out of her tub into the 55-gallon bucket of substrate, and then she's just gone. Like I can't find her. She just disappears, goes right to the bottom. So I'm like digging around with a hook, and I kind of get one of her coils, and she comes shooting out of the thing, mouth open, like shooting out. And I'm 6'3". She makes it over my shoulder out of this thing and freaking musks me on the way. So she's just like this rocket of a mouth, like coming over my shoulder, and then just covered.
Jeez.
And then wraps herself around all the cords. So yeah, I don't know why. I like
that's
that.
the worst part of the whole thing.
Oh,
Jesus.
yeah. Getting them out of there. But yeah, I've got those. I love the medium pythons. I've got some ball pythons because genetics are cool. And some Candoya, some Australis, so the Solomon Island tree boas.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
Yeah, I really like those. They're different. They're really odd. They're not like much of anything really.
They're like
different
the
little
snake from Minecraft.
Yeah, they're very, very unique little aliens.
And simple care, and really fun to watch them climb all over the cages. And just awesome eaters too. I've not had any problems with them. I got the pair from DM Exotic, so I mean he takes great care of his stuff before he sends it out. So I started on the right foot there. But they're really
for sure.
Yeah, and then
there's a lot of people who get those and see the $30 babies at shows or something that probably haven't even had a meal.
Yeah.
And they get them.
Oh
and then
boy, yeah, that's a disaster right there.
Yeah.
I've got some Western skinks that I've been trying to I don't know, just raise up and breed for future feeders, because my goal is really to get some more of those tree boas. And if they want to eat skinks, I want to give them skinks. So
right,
if I can do it, I'm going to try. And the Western skinks are really neat, just little blue tails and stuff like that. And I've got a state of Nevada fishing license, so it's like you can have 25 of them or something like that.
Nice.
It's a random number.
Yeah, I know.
You can have 25, but 26.
Can you have like 25
right.
Can you have like 25 adults and breed them and then have more, or
yeah,
is it 25 like no babies, like no?
Yeah. Well, luckily my girlfriend and I live together, so she can also.
There it is.
So yeah, that's how we can get around that. But
nice.
Yeah, I really like those Salmon tree boas. I'm hoping breeding skinks will help me out in the long run with that. So.
Nice.
So we've got 2 species here that have that blue tail. There's the 5 lines, and then is it broadheads?
Broadbands don't. I mean, broadheads have. They're not blue. They're like red.
When they're like little though, they do.
Do they?
Yeah.
They're
they're really hard to tell apart. I mean, there's some trick to it that I'm just not aware
of.
of.
Yeah, you're right. I forgot about that. Broadhead skinks do look like.
So we've got 2 species that have that blue tail, and they're freaking everywhere. It's there's a tree in the backyard that's like half rotted but somehow still growing. And I've got a whole like family of broadheads that just live in. There's like 5 of them in there. And if you go out there
get
during
massive,
the sun, man.
Huge. They're like little Freaking blue tongues. They're big.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're so fast too, man. Good luck.
They're fun to watch though. So
Yeah.
you have like a pair of them. Like I'll watch some in like the flower bed out front if I'm smoking
Mhm.
on the porch. I'll watch them chase bugs and chase each other and stuff.
Yeah.
They're actually pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, they're really neat.
We have a lot of the Scaloperis, though, Western Pennsylvania.
Mhm.
And I love watching them do push-ups in the backyard. And like,
Yeah.
there's like 3 colonies in our backyard, and they each have their own little territory. And like, I'll sit out there and just watch like one go over and like get his, beat up, and, like run back,
Yeah.
and like, it's just super fun.
Yeah.
I enjoy those.
Better than
things.
TV.
Oh yeah. 100%. I got an old recliner in the backyard. Watch my lizard, smoke my cigar.
Shots
Skink time. Everybody shut
Yeah.
the fuck up.
There's a nice Western Diamondback living inside of it.
And then I got 3 colubrids. I've got locality Glades County corn.
Nice.
And she's really cool. She only eats for like 6 months of the year, but other than that, she's cool. And then 2 corn Baird's hybrids.
Oh,
And
Corn Baird's hybrids. Oh wow.
yeah, I was at the vivarium, the East Bay Vivarium, and they had 3 for sale. And my thought was they're really cool looking. If they get sold, maybe somebody's going to breed them down the line, so I'm just going to take them. And
let me save everyone from themselves.
yeah, kind of. I just want to see what they look like, and I have this thought like, if I get 40 gallons, I could have a corn's Baird, a corn Baird, and a Baird, and just kind of see, what they look like.
Like
And
an Animorph book cover.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, you kind of shake it one way and it looks different. But yeah, I really like those, and they eat really well for me. So
Nice.
they're look like emery eye at the moment, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, the ones that I've seen, and it hasn't been many, they were like, you could tell they weren't one or the other. Like there was clearly a mix of something going on, but you couldn't, unless you knew what it was kind of hard to say for sure.
Yeah, it's always weird seeing some of those hybrids. Like even like yellow rat and corn snake hybrids, they just look weird.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is. Like, the stripes with because yellow rats or true yellow rats are normally very striped. Corn snakes are always blotched, unless it's a morph or something. But when you mix them, they just look weird. I don't know what it is.
Have you ever typical corn head, but the body is just so different,
Have you ever seen them integrate at all? Out looking around?
No.
There's
nothing I've ever, and I've always wondered if they would.
As common as they are,
yeah,
it wouldn't be that.
There'd be some type of crossover, because they're virtually the same thing, but
yeah,
I don't know.
Do they live in that different of the habitat?
No,
no, you find
just as easily find a corn as you could find a yellow rat.
I found them in the same they live the same, live in the same habitat. I found them on the same roads. It's.
I've definitely seen more yellows than I've seen corns.
Oh yeah, yellows are definitely way more abundant, but
I'm envious that you get to find rat snakes. I mean, I get to find Pitchophis all the time, but
see, I'm jealous of that. I love my Pitchophis.
They're neat.
I never get to see those.
Like,
I've only ever found one Pitchophis in my life, and that was out in South Texas.
Oh, nice.
I was that way. Yeah, really pretty. It's great. I freaked out when I saw it, but yeah, it's the only one I've ever found. Unfortunately,
we saw a pretty decent sized dead one on the road when we were in Texas. It was a bummer. It wasn't huge, but it was definitely an adult. And
yeah,
I really wish we had had more time to spend in like Lahitas and stuff and look around, because some of those Lahitas bulls that I've seen on Morph Market, oh my god, like I would throw down. I would throw down for a pair of those in a freaking heartbeat.
Yeah.
Those things are smoking.
Yeah, and those Texas bulls, man, they just get huge too.
Yeah, they get massive. It's so impressive.
Yeah,
I dig those too. Christmas Mountain stuff.
Yeah,
I really like that.
And I'm not even a big pit guy, but like those Lahitas, dude, those were just.
Dude,
as soon as I saw those, I was like, okay, those are freaking cool.
Have you seen my Klebergs other than pictures?
Yeah, they came to the shop. Remember?
Did they come to the shop?
Yeah,
dude, this thing. Oh, I love those so much. I got Kleberg County bulls from Chris Paint Job, and they are just. Oh.
Is that in Texas as well?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, they're awesome.
We have Southerns here somewhere. I've only seen one ever. I don't know. I don't know if
considered?
anybody
Are they
that's ever-
considered Southern Pines here?
I think so. Yeah, they've all been lumped into Southerns now, I believe.
I thought what we had were considered Northerns.
No,
Sure.
fairly like 80% sure.
80% all the time.
I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna look it up real quick. We can get
Okay.
it. We can get into this.
Go ahead, Bill Nye.
No, I just want to look.
Wouldn't you like to know,
let's
Weather
continue.
Boy?
No, let's continue.
Yeah. So we had talked, I guess it's been like 2 weeks or so now, but you had mentioned the dog training stuff. And I
Yeah.
thought that was really interesting because there was a point in time where I had a buddy who had a friend who was, I think, trying to sell a business that was doing that, and he was trying to
Yeah.
get me and Jake to buy it.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
Remember
that's
that?
right.
Years
Yeah.
ago. It was like at the beginning of THP. It's been a while. So
Wow.
I always thought it was really interesting because I've heard of people doing it, especially around here. I guess it's a fairly popular sort of course to go
Okay.
through, but I'd imagine even more so out west, given the abundance of Aatrox and stuff like that. So how did you get involved in that? Like, what was the story there?
Reno's got a small little reptile Facebook group, and one of the admins posted looking for help for their business. So John owns business. Tessa helps along with that. And I was like, oh wow, that'd be awesome. I'll get some experience with rattlesnakes, which for me, my experience ends at like 4 foot away from my camera's lens. That's like where it's. I know how to stay safe and how to flip boards and things like that, but I usually just don't mess with it. But I thought this would be a great way to get some really good experience with rattlesnakes by professionals, with people that deal with them all the time. And I wanted to do it the right way, so I reached out. And at first, I was just going to volunteer, but late last November, with the COVID thing, supplies ran low in my job, and all of a sudden there's this job available to me, and I was like, oh yeah, so let's do this. So I've only been doing it for a year, but we go every weekend pretty much, and 3 days of jam-packed classes, 50 to 80 dogs a day, and
Wow.
Oh wow.
yeah, teaching a lot of dogs, getting to know a lot of different people. They've had this business for 20 years, so
That's a lot of dogs.
Yeah, if you think about that. And
Good Lord.
How many dogs you do in a day over this, and a lot of repeat customers too, just to give like refreshers and things like that.
Yeah, so like reinforce it.
Totally. But yeah, just the people listening to people that come back and like tell you these stories of like, yeah, the dog was running and then all of a sudden it like backed way up and like circled around me and like went like 30 feet out of its way to avoid this rock, and I went over and looked and there's a rattlesnake there. It's just pretty amazing how effective the training is. And it's cool to hang out with herp people,
Oh, for sure. So so I know the program down here that my friend of a friend was trying to part with, I think was more catered to hunters, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
This is like dove hunting and ground fowl hunting is fairly popular down here, and Jake will tell you on some of these plantations and stuff that people go hunting on, there's no shortage of timbers and other stuff. So
cane breaks, but
yeah, same thing.
No, there cane breaks down here. I refuse to say anything else.
Atrocaudatus
is real, damn it.
They can be timbers
That
everywhere.
I don't know if you saw that April.
It did. It got me, dude. I got
yeah, it got me too, big time.
Finally,
I was like running. I was running through the house like what? But yeah. So they really service all types of dogs. There have definitely been some public service dogs, like actually search and rescue dogs.
Yeah.
They really benefit for that, because if you can imagine that dog is looking in all of the holes and like trained to look for certain signs, and that's where rattlesnakes live, in those places. Cadaver dogs even have been through the course, but a lot of it's just all types of dogs, and the course is really tailored to each one of the dogs. There's dogs that have been abused. There's dogs, like dogs that have grown up like just hanging out and having an awesome life. There's been aggressive dogs. You can really train any dog, but the ones that use their nose seem to be the best at it.
Yeah.
So your pointers and your actually dachshunds, the little doxies.
Really?
Oh, I believe that.
so good at it,
100%.
man.
I believe that 100%, man. Them
We
little
can
hunting
put Donovan
dogs.
to use.
Donovan's not a wiener dog.
Yes, he
He's
is.
not a dachshund.
He's at least part dachshund.
No, he's
tiny,
not.
dude.
He's a dude. He's a teacup chihuahua.
There's some dachshund in there
That's
somewhere.
not. He's not even close to a dachshund.
Last weekend, I actually
He's
trained a
long.
teacup Chihuahua.
No
And-
way.
Yeah,
Oh
and
my god.
I between the stations, so there's 3 stations that are designed to get the dog's senses involved: scent, sound,
Mhm.
sight. And I actually had to pick up the little Chihuahua and bring it, like bring it with me because it didn't want to walk the like 20
Yeah.
feet between the. So I was like, all right,
Yeah.
here we go. Like,
This is gonna be a long.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
long
but it
exactly
worked. The
how
dog,
they are.
it got it in the end. It
That's
was pretty
awesome.
amazing.
No, and I believe and I could see that for a small dog like that, because like a big old rattlesnake could eat that dog. Like it's
totally.
my mom's dog, and I mean it's tiny,
He could sacrifice himself for the
a,
greater good.
a big canebrake or diamondback could
Or a
easily
hawk.
eat or hawk. That I mean, that's just
I'd be more worried
nothing
about
you
a
could
hawk.
do. But oh yeah, I absolutely would too. I'm not worried about a
Dude.
snake eating him. But I'm
A
saying
big
like
bat.
theoretically it could.
Isn't that why you guys don't leave him outside for longer than like 5 or 10 minutes? Because you're
I mean,
afraid of
but yeah,
hawks
we
gonna
watch.
take
Yeah,
him?
we watch him, man. My mom, back in the day, my mom actually had an owl swoop down on our little dog, an actual dachshund.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it was wild.
Jesus.
I've always had big dogs that are kind of fun. You can hike with and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Is that, I mean, you get a lot of people that are just outdoorsy folks that want to get the training
Totally.
done because they're just out and about all the time.
Yeah, a lot of hunters,
Mhm.
because they're always in the field. A lot of outdoorsy people, a lot of hikers, stuff like
Mm.
that. Yeah, anybody that spends a lot of time outside, and even people that don't, because rattlesnakes end up in the most random places. City
Yeah.
Right.
parks. Like they're everywhere. I'm glad they're so prolific. Otherwise, all the people that kill them for no reason, we wouldn't have any left. But
Yeah,
they're everywhere, and I love that about them.
I've called them the squirrels of the West because they're freaking everywhere, man. Like you
Yeah.
see pictures of these guys that do the removals and stuff, and they lift up, sheds and whatnot that have been there for years. There's just a freaking mountain of them.
Yep, there's like
God.
20. Yeah.
Yep.
And some of the photos of the rattlesnake dens and stuff like that. In Oklahoma, wow, that's amazing to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, man. When I was in Texas, we found more Western Diamondbacks than anything else. Like by far is
Desert squirrels.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much. I found
We
a lot
did-
of Diamondback water snakes, but
Cool. I like the Nerodia.
I
We
love
have a
them.
little bit of Atrox down south in Nevada,
Mhm.
but not a lot. Mostly Great Basins.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so Great Basins, Southwest Speckled, Panamint,
Ooh.
Atrox, and Mojaves.
Nice.
That's what we've got in Nevada. I do like the Atrox. There's an Atrox in the class that we use, and it is like the rattle's super long, and it's just like.
Now, do you?
Beast
I
of
guess
an animal.
that's kind of one of the questions that I was going to get into. But like,
Yeah.
when you're training them, are you using non-venomous stuff, venomous stuff, and then like different species of both? Because I mean, surely to dogs, obviously they're going to have a different scent. I mean, to us, we're not going to notice. But like, do you train them to detect non-venomous stuff just as much as they do venomous, or is it mostly just rattlesnakes that you're trying to get them to?
So the purpose of the class is to avoid rattlesnakes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the main and sole focus of the class. Some
Right.
dogs will take it upon themselves to will like if they see a gopher snake or something, they'll alert to it. But we actually have a Pacific gopher that we take around with us, and a lot of dogs just pay it no mind, even right after being out of the class. The scent is so different that it just doesn't go on their radar. They'll walk right by it.
Mhm.
Sometimes it'll scare a dog just because it's a decent sized snake in the grass. But other than that, it's based right on rattlesnakes. Yeah.
Mhm.
And
But do you do the different species of rattlesnake within that?
Yep. So in Nevada, you can only own venomous reptiles that are native to the state, except Gila monsters, unfortunately. Actually, you can have beaded lizards as well. But yeah, so the rattlesnakes you can have are those ones I listed before. So the way to get around that is having friends who keep venomous that can give you sheds. So Norpax and Southern Pacifics are the other two in the area that are frequently seen in this general area.
Mhm.
So we use into a little of the training and how it works too. If you kind of like me to give you a play by.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, for
definitely.
sure.
Okay.
I just don't know how what you could disclose or not disclose. I don't know if
Well,
it's like trade secrets.
Yeah, no, I talked to John yesterday, and he's like, make sure they get the point, but don't give us the little things. No.
Yeah.
But
you guys get a lot of people from like out of state doing it.
oh yeah, we were in Grass Valley, which is just west of Reno, sort of near Lake Tahoe, and there's people driving. I think they drove 12 hours to get there.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's the reputation of the class is pretty darn good. But so what happens is the dog comes in. I'm mostly a dog walker. Sometimes I'm a snake handler, but I'm a snake handler in training. I'm an apprentice there too. But so I'll get the dog collared up and leashed up, and we use e-collars. So we get an e-collar right kind of this side of the neck. If you put them on the lower part of the neck, when you give them a correction, it can close all the airways and stuff like that, and that causes a panic. You don't want to panic the dog. You want the dog to understand that this is bad. So we start really low on the collar. Those little dogs just get a buzz, so it just literally like zzz, and it like freaks them out, enough to make the training work. But we go to 3 stations. The first station is a visual station. There's a rattlesnake right out in the open. I pretend like I'm the dumb dog walker, so I'm just kind of walking down the path, and near the rattlesnake, especially if it's Mojave, it starts rattling. It does the whole thing. The dog, generally speaking, is wants to see what's up, so it goes right in, and then it gets a correction, and we turn around and walk away. So, that is enough to start the ball rolling. And from there, we go to we call that proximity. And then we go to a caged rattlesnake, hidden, and kind of walk around that. And as soon as the nose gets involved, and they want to see what that is again, once they get the scent, that's another correction. So then they get, so sight, sound, I can see it, I know what it is. We move the snake around so they know that these things move. They don't just sit still. And okay, now I smell it. Okay, cool. So both of those things are bad. And then the last part is a hole, a fake hole that we've made. And you take the dog to the hole. What does the dog, there's a hole. What does the dog do? Sniff it, right? So it goes to there. And that's the third correction. And after that, the dog's pretty much got it. It takes 15 to 20 minutes. Like those people that drove 12 hours are like, wait, that's it?
Right.
I drove like 12 hours to be here and it took 15 minutes. You're like, hey, you have a really good dog. Learn quick. But it's super simple. And the snakes, they don't get too stressed out and stuff like that. We rotate snakes all day, keep them in the shade and all that. And there's a person with the snakes all day, like they're never left alone. And then John and Tessa are running the remote controls for the e-collars. So I'm walking the dogs through the course, and once they get that correction, I'm turning them around and let's go see something else. We'll go check it out again. And at the end, they want nothing to do with it. We'll put their owner, or literally their owner, on the other side of the snake, have them call it, and the dog will go around me like 30 feet away, like around a tree, to get back to the owner. And that's when it's really worked, because what does the dog want to do? Go straight line right back to it.
And do you guys do any like education to the as far as like snake education to the people bringing the dogs?
Yeah, totally. First and foremost, we're pretty much advocates for the snakes. We're there because snakes, when they're avoided, they don't get killed. So we do a lot of education. That's why we have that Southern Pacific, or the gopher snake. I forgot what type it is. I just said it earlier, but that's why we have the gopher snake. Let kids hold the gopher snake and stuff like that. And then some of the closer shows to Reno bring a bunch of native snakes, and somebody actually sits at a booth all day and answers questions.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So it shows everybody like the different types. Rattlesnakes. This is a gopher snake, not a rattlesnake. Absolutely no reason to kill any snake, but especially not this gopher snake.
Right.
Yeah, I can see. I mean, we've talked about that in the past, where like some of those Pituovas do look a hell of a lot like some of the rattlesnakes and stuff. So I can see why people would kill them, because there's like pattern-wise, there's a very similar.
Very similar.
And they have a very similar posture as well. Pituovas stand up exactly like a rattlesnake. does. They get that big, hooded up posture.
S kind of thing, and
then
they're making a lot of noise, and they're rattling their tail.
And that's the thing. They rattle and then they hiss. And if you keep Pituophis, their hiss sounds somewhat like a rattle.
Totally.
So if you don't know snakes, absolutely. I totally understand why people think Pituophis, where you have, Western Diamondbacks and whatnot. It makes complete sense.
Totally.
Especially they'll flatten out their heads and make that perfect little diamond too that everybody likes to call.
They make that big head, and then they've got those dark saddles on the back. It just looks a lot like a rattlesnake.
And do you find if you're using the Pituophis, do the dogs still avoid that one at least a little bit if it starts making any of the noise and doing any posturing?
Oh, well, fortunately and unfortunately, the snake's 10 years old, and it doesn't make it just it doesn't make the noises anymore. It's great for kids to hold. But it's long. It's a big snake, so when it's going through the grass, some dogs will react to that, but the scent they don't, because it's just so different.
Right.
It's fun to see the dogs. I love dogs. I've had dogs my whole life. I love snakes. It's cool to be able to work with both in the same day.
Yeah.
Do you ever have any though that when you're walking them, and you're trying to sort of build that association that they're just so curious that they're like pulling you to go check out what it is that it's?
Oh yeah, yeah. Especially like a Great Pyrenees, or there was a Newfoundland mixed with some other giant dog, and it was like up here, like past my waist, huge dog. Wanted to see everything, but the way we put the e-collars on, you get it really tight into the fur. It makes a good connection, and you don't have to use a lot of stimulants, just a little bit of a buzz. It turns them right around. Also, the snakes that we use have been they went through a ductectomy, so I think you call them venomoids or something like that. Yeah. So,
okay.
And that was done by like a real vet, not
saw basement kind of setup.
Not this YouTube stuff that's going on with people doing that, but and those snakes are, so they still have the scent of the venom. They still have their fangs. They still act like rattlesnakes. They're not muzzled, so they don't sit there like a dead snake, and they act just like rattlesnakes. And it's really, so you can get pretty close to them, and they test the snake's venom all the time with a live mouse. If it does something, it hasn't done anything in 20 years, so it works.
Right. Yeah. What I've seen for some reason, there was either pictures or video I saw of like people doing something similar, and it wasn't y'all, but they were like pinning the rattlesnakes, and then they were using electrical tape to keep the mouth closed. I'm like, that seems like a lot of work to go through.
Oh man,
to avoid getting bit.
Talk about dangerous. I mean, wow. There's a lot of people that do it not so well, including like using dead snakes. There's a person that teaches positive dog training kind of stuff, which works great for like hear and come and all that kind of stuff and sit. But they've got a picture of a dead rattlesnake that they use, so it's okay to kill a rattlesnake, but you can't tell a dog no. They're like, stuff like that's a little goofy. But yeah, we use real rattlesnakes. They go through the surgery. John looks at the snake for 6 months, make sure it's eating frozen thawed before he even like thinks about doing the surgery. And these things are still living 20, 30 years. They have some really old snakes that went through the surgery, doing just fine. So way less stressful, way safer. You're not defanging something and hurting it for no reason, So.
Do you find that there's certain breeds that seem to pick up on it faster than others?
Oh yeah, hunting breeds. Anything that's a pointer gets right in. The class was first invented for German Shorthair Pointer Club. So a club wanted to do this class, and they figured out how to do it, and that was 20 years ago, and they've been rolling since. But anything hunting dog, anything curious, anything that really uses its nose. I mean, we had a French bulldog go through, and it was just like, and we don't point out the snake. So if you point something out, the dog thinks it's okay to go and check it out.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it can get kind of frustrating where you're like, I'm just the dumb dog owner. I got to walk by this thing about 100 times before the dog like, oh wait, there's a snake there. I should, I want to go
Right.
check that out. But yeah, those pointers do super well. It's like 10 minutes, and
Which breeds are the worst?
oh boy, those little guys, the Chihuahuas, and
Really?
Oh, geez,
yeah, just because they don't act like dogs,
Yeah.
they're they're just something different almost. So,
Our lab's pretty good with it.
oh yeah, big time. Labs, shepherds are different. So shepherds have this thing somewhere deep down inside that sometimes they want to challenge. So they'll look at the snake, take a correction. You'll walk by it again. They'll see it again. They'll take another one. They're really hard headed, and then some of them go into this challenge mode where they want to bark. They want to stay still, bark, and like come get me kind of a thing. So it's a German Shepherd thing mostly.
Does that include like Malinois?
Yeah, all of those. Dutch Shepherds, which are really neat dogs. I never met one until last week. Kind of like a smaller German Shepherd, kind of like a Malinois with really short,
Mm-hmm.
really short coat. Really cool dogs. But
Yeah, I got a buddy that has a Malinois, and that is probably the smartest dog I've ever seen in my life. It's just
ridiculous.
unbelievable.
Yeah, like once they get it, they get it.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
especially puppies are going to take another class. It's recommended that all dogs go through the class again, just to reinforce the next year. But puppies especially, and then shepherds, like they'll go through it once and you'll reinforce them. So we'll run the course backwards to make it hard for the dog if they're like a retrain. And the shepherds instantly just like, I'm not even going over there. They'll smell something. They'll smell something from 20 yards away and head the other way. They're like, I'm holding on to them, like trying to get them back to their owner. Like, yeah, I think they remember it.
Yeah.
But it's fun. It's just fun seeing the different reactions. I really enjoy being with those people and training those dogs.
And do you get a lot of younger dogs versus older dogs, or is it primarily
Spectrum? Yeah, younger to old, 14, 15-year-old dogs last weekend, to 4 to 6 month old puppies, all in one weekend.
So how do you deal with something that's super hyper,
Jack Russell?
Yeah, or I was thinking more like a boxer in the 1-year-old range, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, 'cause those things
Or
can
a
be
puppy
absolutely
Labrador or something
insane.
like that.
Right. How do you deal with something like that?
They actually do the best because they want to go with me. First off, I'm taking a dog from their owner, right? They don't know me. I'm just like, hey, let's go for a walk. Come on, you're with me now. But the hyperactive dogs do the best because they want to see what's going on. So anything that's interested is like, it's not like a normal training where you're like keeping their focus for all these times. You want to limit the amount of actual training you have to do, the amount of correction you do. So
Right.
these super energetic dogs do great because they want to like, what's that? Let's go down here.
They're the ones learning faster.
Yeah, they learn super quick. Jack Russells do really well. We've had a few of them, and that's a 10, 15-minute dog through the course. That doesn't take much time at all.
Yeah, that lines up though, because Jack Russells are another small hunting dog,
Yep.
from back
Little
when.
ratters.
Yep. Similar to dachshunds. Jack
Dachshunds.
Russells will get up in trees, man. They're crazy.
I read a book about this South African hunter that had a Jack Russell, and they were like in the bushveld kind of thing, and they went after a leopard. The Jack Russell went after a leopard.
I believe it, man.
Got some balls.
We used to have a Jack Russell when I was younger, and God, the dog was crazy.
They're awesome.
It was a dick.
Yeah, I like terriers. They got a mind of their own sometimes.
There was a video floating around for a while of this small, some sort of terrier, and it was in Australia. And I guess these people had like I think it was a smaller, maybe not a smaller, but some sort of freshwater crocodile, I believe is what it was. And they'd have videos on multiple days of this little dog going and like chasing this croc away.
Oh crap!
And then there was one day where it happened. So it would go up behind it, I guess, like nip at the tail, and the croc would take off. But because of their field of vision, like the croc's probably not going to see that. So it just assumes something's coming for it and takes off. The last video of the series was this little dog going up by the side.
Oh, geez.
Within the field of vision. And of course, that croc whipped around and grabbed that dog and took off with it. And the people were like freaking out. And it's like, what did you expect was going to happen?
You
Like
let-
the other times they were laughing because it would bark and it would
Yeah.
run up and nip, and then the croc would take off. They'd be like, look at how tough he is. And then that last video, they were like, oh,
Not so tough anymore.
yeah.
Great.
And I felt bad for him because it was, you know,
Yeah, it's somebody's dog.
it was
but-
funny at first, but then it was like, okay, that's
Yeah, but
that's
you
what happened.
also keep your freaking dog in the fence,
Yeah.
dude. Like, I
Yeah,
mean, that's
totally.
your own fault. Like, I blame the owners more than the dog.
Oh, 100%.
You know, like Jesus.
We've had people die here in South Carolina because
Yeah.
a gator came and grabbed their dog. Just on what, Hilton Head?
Yeah, Hilton
like
Head.
2 years ago, a lady was walking her dog. Alligator came up and grabbed her dog, and she got killed going in trying to get the dog from the
Mhm.
gator. It happens fairly like within a decade. It happens
every
multiple
couple
times. Yeah.
years, man.
And it's
I don't know if people just get complacent with it. My dad
Yeah.
lives in Jacksonville, so I see the gators and stuff down there. They're everywhere, right?
Yeah,
I don't
no,
know if
they're
you just
all
get
over the place.
complacent with something you're seeing every day, and then you're like, "Ah, it's no big deal," you know?
Yeah, I mean, these people golf with these things half the time. You
Yeah,
know,
it's
like
not like
they're
they
just
don't know they're
laying
there.
around. You know.
Yeah.
and-
Mm,
and I tell
Especially
people
when
that
they're
all the
underwater.
time, like out of towners. Yeah, I'm like, if it's a fresh body of water, assume there's a gator in it.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if it's big or small. There's probably one in there.
Yep. I like
There
to
was-
see them. I think they're
Yeah,
cool.
they're awesome. And even then, there was a video that was on Instagram the other day of not a very big gator going and grabbing like an adult possum and pulling it in. Like
Oh wow.
it wasn't. Did you see that?
Mm-mm.
It wasn't a big gator. It still had stripes and stuff.
It doesn't
still
have
had
to be,
pattern.
man.
Came right up, chased that possum out of the water. Like the possum was on the bank. Gator came rolling up, grabbed it, and took it back. Like just could have easily have done that with someone's dog. You know, smaller one.
For sure. I'd love to hear them bellow when they make that
Yeah.
noise.
Yeah.
There's a little swamp by my dad's house. And you can hear them. Just, it's so cool.
It's awesome.
You feel it in your like chest, you know.
Right.
I've never seen it in the wild. I saw it when I went to the alligator farm one
Cool.
year, and they had a bunch of bulls doing it at the same time, and I thought they were like mowing or something because that's what it sounded like.
Yeah.
Until I walked in, and I saw the giant pit in the main center area, and
Yeah.
just a bunch of males just going for it. Man, it was so
Yeah.
cool.
I've heard one like actually bellow, and it was like had its head like straight up in the air, like kind of standing up. It was crazy. And that was I'm pretty sure I've told that story on here before, but yeah, that was insane. And then I've heard him like growl because I got a little too
Yeah.
close,
Yeah.
you know, so not exactly bellow, but it's still kind of the
That's something everyone that's into herp should see at some
Yeah.
point in their life because it's you see that and you're like, that's an effing dinosaur.
yeah.
Without a doubt.
100%.
There's nothing more ancestral and like prehistoric than that.
I mean, have you seen a wood stork though?
those
Yeah,
are
those are pretty cool too.
Those are prehistoric. They look like freaking pterodactyls. Like, I'm just saying. But
Have you seen the crocodiles? Have you seen? In
I
southern
haven't seen
Florida?
any. No, not in the
No, not
in the
here.
wild. But
I'd love to see one of those.
yeah,
I'm
those
gonna
are
have
cool.
to try to do that. I know there's like a touristy spot where you can go and pretty much see them.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think you can only see American crocodiles in South Florida, right?
I
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah.
I think there's been a couple documented times where they've seen them higher up, but
Yeah.
it's
And then
really
there's a
really
big
rare.
frost.
Yeah.
And they like get killed off or something like
Oh,
that.
Freaking Florida,
You
man.
gotta repopulate
Friggin' Florida.
Yeah. Florida's wild.
Yeah.
Fun to visit. That's about it.
Yep.
So the big question is, A, have you had people do the training for herping?
Yeah.
And why aren't people doing it for herping if not?
Never in my experience has that happened. But like I said, I just started. I've only seen I just started and I've already seen like 350, 400 dogs. It's pretty wild. But and John hasn't brought that up. I'm sure he would have brought that up. But I think it's a great idea. I think we should because they're very capable of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So this class is based on avoidance. So you would have to kind of rethink how you would train to do that. Instead of, maybe avoid the rattlesnakes, but reward for the gophers or the king snakes or whatever, that scent. But I think it should happen. How cool would that be to have your
Yeah.
dog, point out, especially like a pointer or something, just in that classic pointer pose, you go over and there's like a king snake
Yeah.
or something like that. How cool.
Because anytime
Yeah,
I
that would
walk
be
my dog
awesome.
in the mornings, he is like he's a pit mix of some sort, but he is
Yeah.
that nose is in full effect in the mornings when we're walking around. And sometimes he gets curious and he'll like pull me in one direction towards something he wants to check out. And I'm like, man, if I could just get you to smell snakes, corals, or something, I'd be like, that'd be awesome.
See, this is even more reason to get into some venomous stuff. We can train Archie to stay away from venomous, or at least act a certain way around venomous, and then to go towards the non-venomous.
It seems like
we got enough locals.
It seems like it would be harder to train them via reward to seek these things out than to avoid them.
Totally.
Yeah.
That would take a lot more than 15 minutes. You know. That's a lot of people ask, why don't we train the dogs, stuff like that, when they do find the rattlesnake. But just for that, it would take the different time. But some dogs naturally do that. They'll come back and bark and circle and stuff like that after the class. But it would be a little something different to be like, yeah, give me that. Let's go find king. Like hold a king snake shed. Let's get king snakes. We're looking for gophers today. That'd be. Maybe I should try it. My golden, he is nuts for lizards, so he was a good candidate for the training because he will stick his nose in bushes, under rocks. He'll like flip stuff over. I'm always like going after him and putting things back, but he'll find lizards and stuff for me, which is fun. Mostly, your little scalopers or whatever. Sometimes some whiptails or some skinks or something like that.
I just figured the avoidance training would work well, just as well, just because they can then tell you like something's in the area, like something's nearby, and you can kind of look around for it. Is kind of the.
I was kind of imagining like the classic like pointing kind of a thing, like
that would be cool.
That would be ideal.
Yeah, that would be really rad. But yeah, it would work. Actually. So if you used king snakes and gopher snakes and lyres and all that good stuff that we have around here, the sheds and stuff like that, it would work. They would alert to those scents as well. And I don't know how many things, quote unquote, a dog can remember.
Right.
But I know like the rattlesnakes, at least they definitely remember to the next year at least. Refresher. Some dogs, you do it once and they've got it for life. But
right.
Yeah, I guess so. Like, that gets all weird around a bush and to go over there and look. That would be
because
cool.
I mean, we've been out running around like herp in the woods behind my parents' house, and usually Archie's with us, and he doesn't go far, so I don't really keep him on a leash when we're out and about like that because he never takes off and runs. He doesn't disappear. He stays within 30 feet or so of us at all times.
Nice.
And I was like, he'd be free. Like, that's what I think about every time we're out looking around and he's with us. I'm like, if we can only teach him to find this shit, it would make life so much easier.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like, the more I thought about it, especially with what y'all are doing, it's like, how come that hasn't become a thing where people are like,
it should be. It really
training their dogs to, because anytime I've had something loose in the house too, like we have a cat.
Oh, okay.
And I'm always like, if something's loose, I'm constantly watching Hector because I know he's probably going to find it before I will. And the trick then is making sure that I get to it before he does.
Before he gets to it.
And there's been times where I had baby corns loose or something. It was like last year. And he was like really hyper focused on something that was in like our, in front of our hamper. It was some old sheets or something that we were changing.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll bet you that's what it is. And so sure enough, lifted up and there's the baby corn that had been loose for like 2 days. And I'm like, we should get Hector on a leash too and have him just,
That's funny. I had a cat when I was growing up. His name was Bubbles. He was a little barn cat, and he turned into like a 20-pound beast. But he would follow me. Yeah, he would follow me everywhere. Like it's kind of like this shadow I had when I was growing up.
Yeah.
I would never keep a cat outdoors anymore.
Yeah, no, we do not promote outside house cats.
No way. That's the worst thing. It just destroys. People get upset about all sorts of things, like invasive species, letting their cats outside. Just come on.
Dude, I make people feel so bad, like legit. Like when people get on me about it, I'll complain about a house cat being outside, and I don't make a big deal about it, right then and there. And they're like, well, what's the big deal? This and that. And I tell them why it's a big deal. Then they're like,
both.
looking at me like I'm the jerk, and I'm like, I don't know what to tell you, dude. It's just because like then they just like feel bad because they feel dumb, and they oh, well, he's already outside, so I don't know what to do. Yeah, I'm not telling you you have to bring your cat in. I'm just telling you why it's bad.
Yeah,
you should bring your cat in, but
it goes
whatever.
with research. We should all research more before we get things.
Yeah, exactly.
I've picked stuff up off the table before, for sure, not knowing what the heck I was getting into, but I think we all have. But
oh yeah,
man, I wish a lot of people the songbirds alone, they get fascinated. I like seeing little birds and stuff like that too when I'm herping, just getting out, seeing all the animals, and then I've seen, especially in Jacksonville, I've seen multiple times where cats have like black racers in their mouth or songbird,
oh yeah,
whatever.
Yeah.
yeah.
So we also wanted to get into, you mentioned you're doing some electrical work.
Yeah.
I know you had done a post in either the THN group or the Snakes and Stogies group about defective like heat panels or heat tape.
Yeah. Yep.
So what were you looking to do with that?
In my day job, I'm an apprentice electrician, so I'm really interested in all of the electrical stuff, and I look at our herp rooms as big time hazards. We've got wires going everywhere. Even if you're really consistent and neat about the way you do things, you still got a big electrical hazard in your room. So my thoughts were get some defected products and test them and see if we can develop kind of our own like reptile electrical code. So we have the NEC, the National Electrical Code, but we should have a reptile electrical code to keep our rooms safe. And so I've just been testing different products to see what we already have and the practices that we already have for keeping places like hospitals and damp locations safe, if that kind of goes over to our reptile rooms. And some of it has, some of the simple stuff like adding drip loops to all of your wires. So all that is just a loop. It's just, a loop underneath your wire. So if water ever got onto the wire, it would drip off of it before it got to the socket. So simple procedures like that could really save our animals and our houses and our homes and ourselves when it comes down to it. So I've just been testing different things. The drip loop has come in, also GFCI protection and arc fault protection. So an arc fault circuit actually listens to the harmonics of what's going on in the circuit. And if anything's off, it will trip the breaker. So it'll shut off power to that those plugs, and then your GFCI like you have in your bathroom. So it monitors the ground to see if there's a fault in the ground. So simple things like that, I think we should all be doing to keep ourselves and our reptiles and our homes safe. So
yeah, I mean, all too often we're seeing pictures and GoFundMe's about someone who lost their entire room, or if not their entire house to an electrical fire like that. And I know that's my biggest fear.
That's my
with
biggest fear.
pretty much everything.
Biggest
Also, because I think it's the most realistic, like it's the most likely to happen out of anything.
Yep.
And I often wonder, because my room doesn't have a ton of outlets, but they're all pretty much maxed out.
Yeah,
and
that's
I'm always looking
too.
at it going,
Yep.
I know some of these things are pretty low wattage, but it's like it's got to add up, I would think.
I've done something. So every thermostat that I have, I've got, I don't know, I would say, let's just say 20 thermostats in my room. Every time a thermostat goes on, I have an indicator light that also lights up, or a fan that goes on. So I can kind of gauge how much power my room is actually using by a little light bulb that comes on when, and that's just a little LED light that comes on when the thermostat's on. So they're really not on a lot, but if they're all on at once, that adds up quite a bit, and that really could blow us, blow your circuit and all this kind of stuff. So it's important to know just how much can your room handle. Am I overloading that? More than likely, the answer is yes. We're overloading our rooms, and just simple ways that we can keep that safer. Like maybe your room needs 2 circuit breakers instead of 1. Maybe it needs a 20 amp instead of a 15 amp. Maybe just some relatively simple things that an electrician can fix in an afternoon can make our rooms much safer.
Like my breaker box is in my snake room. So
Oh,
I
really?
don't know if
Okay.
that only makes it worse or if it's better that way.
Yeah. Well, code says there needs to be 3 feet of workable space in front of that. So if there's not 3 feet of space in front of that, but otherwise it's fine. Yeah.
No comment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So stuff like that.
Like it's
We're
not blocked or anything. You can still get
right.
to it
Yeah,
and
it's
open the thing all the
accessible.
way. You know,
I
yeah.
can still get to it when I move this rack.
Yeah.
No.
But stuff like that. In the long run, we're kind of in this weird position where there's a big group of people that don't really like what we do. And if you look at organizations like, doctors and things like that, they regulate themselves. They create their own set of rules. So if we had something to at least fall back on with our electrical safety, maybe that in the long run might be able to help us in some way, making our own regulations and rules up, So I don't know if that would help in the long run, but I think we need that little bit of safety for that aspect as well.
Yeah, no, it's definitely something more and more people need to think about. I think luckily for guys like us who don't have huge collections,
Yeah.
I've looked into, how much your average outlet can, handle as far as wattage goes. And luckily heat tape doesn't put out too much,
Pretty low.
it's relatively slow. So if you have a smaller end collection, as far as overloading your, your outlets, as long as you have a surge protector and all that, garbage, you're normally, for the most part, you're pretty okay.
And
I would worry more with running a lot of heat tape. I almost worry about heat tape malfunctions more than
yes, so
anything else.
that's the biggest thing, and that's why I want to test some of these devices to see if they'll trip those arc fault or those GFCIs if the heat tape is connected to that.
Right.
So I built a little fake wall. So I have a little drywalled corner, and I've got some plugs installed in a little breaker box on one side. So I'm just waiting to get some messed up equipment to put that in there and just see what happens. If I plug on some heat tape that's malfunctioned and it trips the breaker or the GFCI or the FCI, man, we should have all of our stuff on that because that would save our
Right.
collections.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah. And the two things that I've really found so far, because they've been easy to test, are the drip loops. Super simple. You just put a little loop in the cord underneath your plug. And I use hospital grade receptacles in my room, duplex receptacles. So you're just normal wall plugs. They're hospital grade, which means that the force it takes to plug in and pull out is a lot greater than your normal. So they don't come out of the wall. They're like gripped into the wall or plugs. And I put the grounding little part, the little round part on the end, upside down. Because if you had a piece of paper or something, or a little piece of substrate fall in between the plug and the wall and it connected the positive to the neutral, you can potentially start a fire there. So by having the receptacle turned upside down, and the code book has nothing, there's nothing on it which way this has to go. So it's not a safety concern. If something were to fall in there, it would hit the ground first and just fall off instead of
I never even thought about that.
Yeah, instead of making a connection between those two blades on your plug, it would hit the ground first and fall off. So those two simple things, I've come to the conclusion, like, just so far. I'm sure there's gonna be more stuff, especially when I get some messed up equipment to test. But those two things are super simple, hospital grade stuff. Flip it upside down and a drip loop. I'm pretty confident that can save a lot of collections.
Yeah, it's scary too, man. There was a point in time where I walked in my room and I smelled something burning.
Oh man, that's so
And
scary.
I started looking at racks, and sure enough, it was one that the probe had fallen out of place, and so it hadn't caught fire or anything like that, but things looked burned.
Yep.
And it was like, dude, I probably dodged a major bullet with that, and I'm glad I caught it. When the snake, it was a little male hognose I had too. It was that same tub, and I was like, he was fine, but I was like, damn, like that whole rack got
that could have been bad.
Hot.
Yeah, that could have been
You
really
can smell
bad.
plastic. It is hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, for sure.
Yeah,
But that's all why you don't want to skimp on thermostats or replacing your heat tape. I feel like a lot of people buy a brand new rack and forget about it. Like there's upkeep that you need to do with these racks. Replace your heat tape, dust them, dust your stuff,
Huge.
dust the inside of your racks. That's a huge thing. Dust buildup causes fires all the time.
Check the tape on your, thermostat probe.
Mhm.
Simple stuff like that.
Yep.
But that's why I like back heat so much, is because you don't have that tub
Yeah.
going.
Right.
Even if it's got the
Yep.
groove and stuff, I like back heat because I don't have to worry about that sawing motion over, however many years and hundreds, thousands of times you're sliding something in and out.
Well, because
That
that's my
does-
thing, though. It's like even through all that, I would, even without it, I would almost recommend replacing your heat tape every 3 years or so.
Mhm.
3 to 5 max, and that's
I
with
wouldn't go past
dusting and
3. I
stuff.
think you got that right.
Yeah, I was, it's
And inspect it. A simple
right.
inspection can catch a lot.
Yep.
Spend time in your herp room. That's why I like caging. I'm moving towards caging.
Oh yeah.
I just started, purchasing snakes during COVID, really. So I haven't had them for long. I've been the electrician trade. You're all over the place all the time, but I'm finally in a place where I can have a bunch of animals and be home every night. But yeah, so I'm keeping in tubs now. But I've got a whole pallet full of 1/2-inch white PVC in the garage, and so I'm going to start making.
Nice.
have you done any research in terms of what the most common cause is for these fires in people's rooms?
I haven't done that. No. What just stuff I've heard over the years. It's usually been malfunctioning heat tape, though.
Yeah.
That's what I've heard more consistently over however many years I've been interested in snakes, which is my whole life. I kept when I was younger and then college and stuff, but it's that messed up heat tape. We just set it and forget it when we should really be inspecting it.
I wish there was a safer way to heat as efficiently, because there's stuff like heat rope, but I think it sucks, like it does not, it normally really doesn't do well. You have to use a lot of it to really,
Yeah, that's what I have
get
in
the
that
effect.
Cambro rack.
Yeah, I
And
mean, it's
I got like 50 feet of it, and it works kind of, but it's one of those things where I definitely have to like crank it to. I probably have to set it to like upper 90s to get it to the mid 80s on the hot end,
right.
to get through that hollow core PVC and stuff. And I just wasn't
That
comfortable
hollow
doing it.
core is garbage.
It sucks.
Yeah, like you got to get the high density stuff is what I've found.
I regret that rack, but I also don't. Because it is nice. It's got the Cambro tubs, but that hollow core stuff and the whole. I got it secondhand, and the heating tape in that thing was so old.
That's the one thing you say about it every time you bring it up. It's got the Cambro tubs.
Yeah,
It's got the Cambro tubs.
awesome.
That's the only thing good about this rack.
But that hollow core stuff is rough.
Another big reason why I'm breeding the skinks is lyre snakes, and I want to get some lyre snakes, and I want to keep them Cambro racks, because the big Cambro, because they're actually really arboreal, and just to have that lyre, that like Western U.S. Boyega like kind of thing going on, like that would be cool to keep those Cambros with nice lighting and that crystal clear front of that.
Yeah, and I mean it's worked out because I don't even have that hooked up to heat anymore, and I have
really?
and Boyga in it, and they're at whatever the room is.
Yeah,
it's just plenty warm, and they've been doing fine. So I don't know. It does the job. It's after that tape incident with mine, it made me much more paranoid about how I'm attaching the probes and stuff, and making sure they're much more secure than just putting them in the little slot with some HVAC tape over it to hold it in place. Because that tape is great and all until it gets hot and comes loose, and then the glue part or the stickiness of it sort of loosens up and it curls. And
yeah, I use a mechanical fastener. I use a screw to hold my probes.
Is that like the plastic clips?
Yeah, a clip and a screw. Yep, keeps it in place. You can get those real thin ones, so you're not wrecking the bottom of tubs or anything like that. So that's how I do that. Yeah, I think so. Talking about efficiency, oil-filled heater is pretty much the most efficient way you can heat a room.
That's exactly what I use.
Yep, unless you want to buy a mini split, which is a mini AC and a mini heater in one, and that's a whole bunch of ducting money and stuff like that. But or our oil-filled space heaters. And that's another thing where we put those, but not putting them on carpet. Putting them on solid surfaces. I've got one, and I've got carpet in my herp room, so I built a box with tile. So I have like a kind of like a movable tile floor. It's like 2x2, and the heater sits on top of that. So there's no contact of carpet in the heater. It's got tile between that. So that's another way I keep my room safe.
Yeah, because Jake uses those in the winter, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
I mean, those are fairly safe.
Oh yeah,
in comparison to other options.
Mm-hmm. Like those ones, the fans and stuff like that, like the little ones, they're all right. They work, but I wouldn't leave one on and leave. I would be worried that something would fall over and the heating element would touch the carpet, and then there you go.
Plus the oil, anything oil filled, it with it emitting more so than blowing, you get a much more like even temperature. You know what I mean? As long as you have a fan circulating, you get a much more just I feel like it covers everything much more versus if it's blowing, it's very centralized to whatever you're blowing it at. And so.
What about humidity wise? Do those seem to do better with?
Way
like they don't dry it out.
No, no, they don't dry it out nearly as bad. No,
because I remember you had one rocking and rolling one year.
I used one.
I was like, it's still really humid in here.
I used one 2 years. I've used one for 2-3 years straight.
They're great. Yep.
What about having and one of us here is guilty of this. I won't say who, but one of the giant, like freaking 3-foot long power strips with like 4 thermostats plugged into it.
Yeah. I do it too.
He said it's okay. Drop it.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah.
And that person here is me.
Yeah, for sure. If the amperage of the circuit can handle the load, it's fine, right? The 3-foot power, and also like a little disclaimer, I'm an apprentice electrician. I'm not a journeyman, so I've been doing this a while, but I don't have that accreditation. But if the 3-foot power strip wasn't made to work on all 3 feet, why would it be made? Kind of a thing,
right?
As long as you're not doing that, like Christmas. What is that movie? The
Vacation.
Christmas Vacation, where there's like plugs and plugs. Yeah, as long as you're not doing crap like that, I don't think you have a problem. Because I don't know.
Like that's what I wonder. Because
like
I think everyone's been guilty of something similar to that at one point or another. But it's like, to me, it's like they're all plugged into each other. It's all electricity.
The only
still
thing,
moving, like, what's the big deal?
The only thing that got me that you were doing that really drove me, because my dad's a master electrician.
Oh, cool.
So I grew up doing that stuff. I was a tunnel rat running wire under houses for years. So I'm really paranoid about electricity. And dude, the one thing you did that drove me insane is, how people will like connect heat tape, with wire to wire.
Yep.
You had this rack that it was like 6-inch heat tape on one side.
I still have that rack.
12-inch heat tape on the other side. They were connected, one thermostat on the 12-inch, and I was like, "Oh, dude, don't do that."
I'll take it a step further.
Don't
that thermostat
do that.
has a little like extender plug put into it, and plugged into the back of it, and then both those heat tapes are plugged into that.
Oh, geez.
I'll have to send you a picture. It'll probably give you an aneurysm. But.
Oh, geez.
Well, the one thing about that is
it works.
The product that was drawing more watts was in control, and then also now you've got more watts in a system for something that isn't supposed to handle that amount of watts. So I would definitely not do that. Keep it the same size,
It's my baby rack. Well, so what had happened was that rack didn't have any heat tape on it.
Yeah.
And my dad had heat tape, and he's an engineer. And so
say that every time. He's an engineer.
I'm making sure people realize
he's not an electrician.
Just some random dude that's just throwing stuff together. Like, he knows. He navigated submarines. Damn it! Like, I'm pretty sure he knows what he's doing. Like, how could a guy that kept nuclear submarines from crashing into the ground not be able to put together a rack and not burn my house down? And so far, it hasn't failed me yet. That Bavarium Electronics stat has been handling it like a champ.
Yeah. And you're talking about really small amounts of power usage for that kind of stuff. Like, you're not using much power at all. Like
Yeah.
6 watts a foot, you know?
Well, especially when I keep,
Mhm.
I mean, I think the hotspot on that, I just dropped it. Like I dropped the stat down to like 82 degrees. So
Oh,
it's not even really running that often
What is it on,
because
like,
the
3
room is
hours a
pretty
day?
hot. Yeah.
If that.
See,
No, man,
mean, I wouldn't recommend
it's
that.
still
That
not
just-
good, dude. Like, it's not.
I mean,
You don't
there's
have
like,
another thermostat laying around? I bet you
no.
do. Come on.
I put it, so I plugged it
Wait,
in.
so they have 2 different plugs?
So it's the thermostat, like a
With
3-sided plug,
Okay.
So
the
okay.
back,
Oh my
and
god,
then
yes.
2 different heat tapes plugged into that,
Oh god, dude.
and it works.
Yeah.
I'll send you a picture of it, but
He's
I
like,
remember.
please
So there
don't.
was a point
Like,
where I was looking at it and I was like, all right, this is a little sketchy, but
dude,
think
it's
it'll be
not
okay.
man. It's not.
I use.
It's been running for like 4 years straight. Haven't had a problem yet.
Jesus Christ.
There's always today, you know.
Oh god.
Oh yeah, it's always the present. You better knock on some wood, boy. Where that? Hit that. Jesus.
I use 6-foot power strips, and I've got them pinned up on the wall behind my racks and cages. And,
Yeah, I want to get one for all this stuff
Yeah.
at some point.
And if
maybe
you
next
think about
month.
it, all of that circuit is on one circuit anyways. You're
Mhm.
you're worried about overloading the device at that point, you know.
Which
So-
they have the fuses, and if the fuses blow, it stops working. So there we go. We're golden.
Hmm.
You're like bronze.
Cool.
Not
No,
quite.
hey, it's still a medal. 3rd place.
There you go. There was a whole age devoted to it. So.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, how should people know if they're over, like if they're on the verge of going over that hill of overloading a certain outlet or a power strip?
It's really hard to do with just heat tape. Like
It is very hard to do with heat tape.
Heat
unless
tape,
you've got
yeah.
a lot of stuff on one plug.
Right.
But if you're tripping breakers on a regular basis, so regular
That's
basis
Something
could
might
be
be wrong.
right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
for
Yes.
sure. And
Yeah.
a regular basis could be like 3 times a year when the rest of the house isn't doing it. That's something that shouldn't be happening, you know. So
Right.
that's
Well, I've yet to have that happen, so that's good news.
yeah.
See,
I mean,
we're straight.
you can do the math. The math is somewhat difficult, and sometimes it isn't. But you know, how much power are you using, and what is your device or your duplex receptacle rated for? So kind of calculate all of the power usage of everything on that, and then just pretend like it's all on at once. And is that more than what your receptacle is rated for? You can call an electrician; they can tell you. And you know, if things are snapping off all the time, things smell a little funky, you got burnt plastic, stuff like that, you know, those are definitely signs.
Probably worth looking
one
into.
One thing I do, semi frequently is I go down and I feel the actual plug that's going into the wall to see if it's, it's going to be a little warm sometimes, but if it's hot, if it's hot, you got a problem. You know what
That's
I mean?
a great thing. Yeah. Or, our thermostats are always a little hot,
Yeah.
But if those are really hot, like hot to the touch, something.
Yeah. Yeah. You got a problem. You can slip that out real quick and evaluate. Yeah.
And common sense, don't don't do things
like what Smitty just described. Yeah, don't do what he just said.
No, that's not so horrible, but it's probably not what you want.
If you go, okay, I'm just gonna throw this out right now. If you guys, you can go to BlackBox Cajun Designs or BlackBox Cages and Racks.
God, try it again.
It's been a long day.
BlackBox Cages.
BlackBox Cages.
BlackBox Cages.
I thought it was Cages and Racks.
BlackBox Cages.
It's blackboxcages.com, right?
Yes, it's right there. Top of the
okay,
screen.
whatever. Just go to BlackBox.
Mm-hmm.
They'll set you up. You order your rack. They got heat tape all through it. It's one plug, bunch of shelves, right into a thermostat. Hook up your probe. Done.
You
Easy.
can get dual zones.
Done. You can get 2 different zones. Just use 2 different thermostats for the love of God. Yep. Or use one thermostat with 2 different zones. Easy.
Oh, here's a good question.
VE by 2.
This fool's talked about this before.
This fool.
That's always a great way to start.
Yeah. This fool.
plugging a surge protector into a thermostat that's into the wall.
Okay.
Okay,
that
no,
work?
let's
Okay.
let me
All
get
right.
a little farther into that.
Okay.
So take a thermostat,
Enlighten me.
plug it. No, this is why it's going to be different from what you were talking about earlier. If you took a thermostat, now I don't like this, but I feel like it could theoretically work. If you used one thermostat and you had a surge protector plugged into the thermostat, and you had different systems plugged into that, but they were the same heating element at the same temperature. There's no variance whatsoever, but you only had one probe on one of those racks, but it was putting off the same for all those other systems. Is
Okay.
that
So you've got a thermostat. This is basically what I do. So my thermostat controls one bar of the well, it's not a surge protector. It's just a
right?
like a multiple thing. It's like an extension cord basically. And then everything plugged into that is heat tape, all cut the same length and all of the same size. So
Right.
the one thing you get with that is variance in temperature from low to high in your room. But I can also say, hey, that heat tape, I can isolate that. That's not right. So I can unplug that and take that heat tape off, and then everything else still works. Yeah.
Right.
So that's actually what I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you
Now-
have like the probe off the thermostat on one of the racks, and then that reads, goes for the rest of it.
Yep. And I only do 3 levels of rack per thermostat.
I got you.
So every
What
3
stats
levels.
do you use? What do you prefer?
I like the VEs, just the on-offs,
Yeah.
because they fail to off. So if they fail, they turn off.
Yeah, that's it. They just shut off. I've had one fail. I think I had it plugged into a wall, and we lost power, and it blew a fuse in it, but it just shut off the entire rack. Like that was it.
Yep.
It was just
Yep. So you blow
off.
a fuse, and then everything's off.
Yep.
I've used those the basic ZoomEd on-offs, the digitals. They work great. I've never had a problem with them, and they're like $30 a pop. I mean, I wouldn't put like a whole rack of stuff on there. But if you're running just a heat pad under a tank or something like that, they work phenomenal. And with ZoomEd products, the temperatures seem to be really on. Like you heat gun it, you put it at 89, it's at 89.
Right.
Works pretty well.
Are you going to take that timer with you?
Oh yeah, I'll take it.
It's been sitting there for like 2 months waiting for you. Speaking of electrical stuff,
Yeah, I actually do need that timer.
take it.
Sweet.
I
will.
hate those things. Digital timers all the way. These stupid little gray button tile things and the dialers.
What digital?
nightmare.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I couldn't find a digital timer that seemed simple enough for me. I like simplicity.
He does get confused by the Inkbirds and setting those, so
I just don't. I don't like all the buttons, man. I'm
buttons.
with you. I like the V. And that's the problem. It's 3 buttons. There's no labels, and then you have to read all these directions, and it's just.
We've got something called YouTube, man. I mean,
yeah, but I just read the directions. It's not like I can't do it. I just like VE. I like my VE thermostats a lot.
They're good stuff.
Spider Robotics can be complicated until you use them a little bit. There's a lot that goes into them. No, yeah, the herp stats are great.
I have that on my incubator. It's awesome.
I think they're absolutely great thermostats, but I'm a VE2 guy. I like the VE or the VE by 2. I can't remember what it's called. It's the 300 by 2. Which it comes with a lot of options, but it's cheaper. It's as cheap as buying 2 of the VE 100s. So you get the same amount of space, and you get a lot more options with them. So I think the VE 300 by 2 is really the way to go.
Yeah, they're great. I just get the cheap ones.
The 100s are great. I have several.
I don't anything else besides an on-off, and they fell to off. So
yeah,
I've got my.
Once again, I'm fine.
On the
one that's got the 2 different.
Oh, it's got.
There you go.
If something happens, it'll just. Whoa. Yeah, no, that's.
But yeah, fuses are great. They're great. Save stuff. Yeah, I've got my oil filled heater on one.
a little concerning that the one thing stopping everything from just burning alive is a little piece of wire in a glass tube.
Yep. Wait, so you said you have your oil pan heater on a VE?
Yep, sure do.
Oh, wow. So how do you work that? Do you have the probe just hanging somewhere in your room, or?
The probe is literally like 4 feet. I just take the probe and stretch it out as much as I can, and there it is. And with the fan going around, a ceiling fan, it does pretty good. But
Nice.
yeah, so I got the most basic oil heater without. It's just got an on-off.
Right.
So
So it doesn't have like the knob that you turn a setting
yeah,
or
it's
anything.
just either flip
Okay.
on or flip off.
I got you.
So it doesn't have a rheostat or anything involved in that. But yeah, and then it's
Nice.
run by the on-off VE. I probably should have a proportional on there because it takes a while to heat up and cool down and stuff like that. But
Right.
I think we kind of baby our snakes a little bit. Like it's always 70. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. 75 never goes above
it
or
never
below.
goes above or below.
Yeah. No, mine, but I think the variance is good. I like daytime. I like to follow the weather. A little colder in the morning,
Weather
heats up
boy.
midday. Shut the.
Would you like to know, weather boy?
Well, that was uncalled for.
Kid sketchy.
Kids sketchy.
Where are your parents?
Oh, jeez.
Can you explain, because I know there's a lot of confusion for a lot of people, especially that are newer in the hobby, like the difference between the proportionals and the sort of the other models?
Yeah, so an on-off is just what it's like a light switch. So a light switch turns the light on or it turns the light off. A proportional is like a dimmer switch. So it proportions how much is being you don't have such a great swing. So it's like, okay, I'll give it a little bit so it'll heat a little bit. It's like a light bulb that's turned halfway up. So it's still bright, but not all the way.
Yeah, it sort of coasts, while the
Yeah,
other
so
ones are kind of like
it goes up and
constantly.
down. Yep, it goes up and down to monitor that perfect temperature. So whereas that on-off is just like that, just on or it's off. So maybe when it's turned on, it runs for a little too long and it gets a little too hot before it turns off, and then it is off for a little too bit long, and then it gets a little too cold, and kind of a thing. But the quality of the on-off thermostats are so good that you're looking at a variance of like 2 degrees. So like, you want to spend an extra $60 for 2 degrees on, or
Right.
I mean, I definitely roll with the proportional for like an incubator.
Oh yeah, 100%. Incubator would be a great thing to use proportional. Yeah. Even like an old school hovabator, if you take the disc and turn it all the way up and then put it on proportional, it will then, because the disc is all the way up, it will then monitor the heat in a hovabator just like a proportional incubator would.
I never thought about that.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask, if you like with your oil pan, because I have an oil pan that has like knobs. It has like a low, medium, high setting, and then there's another thing where it's like, again, that one just like turns. There's basically low, medium, and high on the low, medium, and high kind of deal. Yeah. So I was wondering if I turn them both just all the way up, and then put it on an on-off thermostat, it would work, essentially the same way.
I think the safer way to do that would be to use a thermostat as a backup, like have a maximum heat on a thermostat.
Right.
And if it can reach that, everything would turn off,
Right. Yeah. That's what I mean. Yeah. But like, as far as like setting the actual like oil pan, just turn everything up.
Oh, okay.
And then hook it to the thermostat, to turn on. That way it's not like half wattage, the entire time.
If you're doing that, I would use proportional. Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, it would work. That's how the hovabator thing works. That's how I've only ever bred one clutch of snakes, and that was some ball pythons last year, and that's what I did. Hovabator in the closet,
Yeah, can't beat it.
Worked out well.
Yep.
So wouldn't, though, because you have something constantly turning off and turning on, like in one of the oil heaters, for example.
Yeah.
Would that wear out faster over time because it's constantly got that flow coming off and turning on? Like, I think about like in a room, you hear things click on when they're heating up, and then you hear them clicking off, and so it's like, I'm not an electrician, obviously, so I don't know these things. But like, would it like heat tape too? I guess like, would it is it wearing that out over time? By I mean, we're talking about a long span of time, but with that on off constantly, does that affect it in terms of just the
It's not like a car engine where there's like moving parts and things like that. It's a heater that circulates that oil at a certain temperature. Um, I don't think it really matters. Maybe in the long term run it might, but I mean I've had mine for, gosh, I used it. I used to live in Lake Tahoe, so I used it all the time on a thermostat in Lake Tahoe to keep my room nice. Because man, we get like 12 feet of snow, like no joke, 12 feet of snow in a night. It's super cold. But yeah, I've had mine for like 6 years, I think, and there's been no problems.
I don't know. You just think about like the bulbs and stuff we get for heat lamps.
Yeah.
Like the filaments burn out in no time, and so it's
Maybe
like,
the bulbs. Yeah, I could see the bulbs because that little coil in there is so thin, like heating up and stuff like that. That's just not how the oil fill heater works.
Yeah, but normally you don't have people using a bulb with an on-off thermostat and
Right,
your
but I'm
lights
talking
just
about it as an
flickering all
example, like,
day.
Yeah.
I'd turn off like at night. I'd turn off my heat bulbs
Right.
for whatever when I was a kid, and I was using heat bulbs, and
Yep.
like they'd last all of like a week, and then I'd have to replace them because the filament would just burn out
Right.
if it
Burn right
didn't
out,
just
yeah.
break off on the way home in the bag or something. Which was, oh my god, it's so frustrating. 'Cause those things are
Pay like
expensive.
$10 for some
Yep.
extra thing, and it's broken by the time you get home.
Oh yeah.
And it would be like one of those things where it's like I'm turning it off at night and I'm turning it on during the day, and like they don't last long as is, and they definitely wouldn't last long doing that. And it's like maybe it was just my thoughts were maybe it's a similar situation. I mean, obviously with heat tape and stuff, it's different because we don't have that stuff burning out, within a month. But
Right. I would say if there's a heating element like a coil, like there is in a light bulb, that on off would burn it out quicker.
Right.
But if it's just the way that oil heater works is it just gets to a certain temperature with just a heater underneath. I don't know exactly how it's made, but man, mine's
Yep. And you also have to think like as far as like the thermostats go, like at least actual reptile thermostats, and then heat tape, that's a reptile industry thing. Like that they were kind of made to do that, that's so as far as those go, I wouldn't
heat
worry
tape's
about
got a
it too
ton of
much.
applications. I mean,
Yeah.
agricultural stuff like that.
Oh
When I
yeah.
was a kid, I used to use the tape that you would wrap around pipes to keep them from freezing. Because that was in my basement, and I found some, and I made a rack out of it when I was a kid. And that worked, So like heat tape is different. It just the electricity goes through it, heats up. But anything with an element, especially a bulb. First off, I don't know if I'd put a bulb on a thermostat really, and
Yeah.
just keep it farther away if you need to, right? But
well, now if I need lights, I just use LEDs, man.
heck yeah, LEDs are great.
Awesome.
I'm involved in a project building a school right now, and all the lights 24-watt LEDs.
Nice.
Yeah, so not a lot of energy, super bright light.
That's what I got rocking right now. That's why Jake looks like a freaking ghost.
Yep.
Yeah, I've got I have this huge podcasting setup that my friend sent me one night because he was all drunk, missed me during COVID, and he wanted to talk. And I woke up the next morning, there was a bunch of boxes on my front porch, but I could like change the lights and stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh geez.
LEDs
Nice.
are cool.
Oh yeah. We love our lights.
Do you got any plans to get into anything else this year as far as collection? Beards.
Yeah. I need
full,
one. I
full
need one
beards.
bear. I need one. Yeah, full bear. Everything's out. Just, but not really. I'm building cages this year. So anything money wise is going to be spent on that. So making the room nice. If the right Darwins come up, I mean,
yeah,
I do really like those snakes. And then possibly some Great Basin gophers.
Nice.
Yeah, there's a few different lines of albinos that are really pretty. They rival like the Applegate albino stuff.
Right.
I like gophers. The pitch gophers would be fun. It's just I have a small space. I have a very precise list of things I want. I don't want to stray too far because I want to be able to walk into my room and like have a desk and just hang out and just have some nice cages to look at. So I don't want to go too crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice.
Yep.
What about more? You need chondros, man.
Yeah. If I were to do chondros, I'd build a building, I think. If I was going to do that, I'd go all in, like buy 20 like the ox or something like that.
Yeah.
They're cool, but I just, they don't move very much.
They don't unless it's dark. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're ball pythons on a stick.
Yeah. I like my ball pythons. They're kind of
What are you doing? What do you got as far as those go?
ball pythons?
Yeah.
I've got.
Not that I'm going to know what any of those.
Oh, you will.
morphs
They're
are, but-
simple. I don't have anything crazy. My thought is keep it under $100 pretty much.
There you
awesome.
go.
Yeah, just because genetics are cool, it doesn't matter really what you're looking at. But I've got a pair of het pieds. I bred them. That was the first snakes I bred. I got all normals, and I've still got all 6 of those normals because
Nice.
I don't really want to get rid of them. I like this. I like snakes. I don't really want to sell them. But
Yeah.
and then I have a pinstripe male and an Enchi female. And that's what I got.
Nice.
So next year I'm gonna try to do pinstripe Enchis. But yeah, they're fun. It gives me something to do while all the Morelia are growing up. And stuff like that.
No plans for coastals or Brettles or anything like that?
Nope, not in the mix. They get a little big, the Brettles. I've held some. They're really cool.
I do miss mine.
Yeah, maybe if I could do them outside most of the year,
Mhm.
which the habitat here, the Tempest and Reno, would probably be pretty good for that.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think that would be really doable. Like
Hmm.
maybe if I could ever start it over, it'd be like Brettles, Inlands, and Diamonds outside. How cool would that be?
Right.
What are your
Yeah.
winters like there?
It's cold. Yeah, we get snow and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they'd have to. I mean, we're at Valley Floors, is over 3,000 feet. So,
Oh wow.
it gets cold here, and
Mhm.
Lake Tahoe is 30 minutes from my door. So
Hmm.
Hmm.
yeah, we're close to the mountains. But yeah, I'd have to bring them in, but all summer they could stay outside, and that would be.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's kind of where I'm moving. I'd really like to keep more things outside, like even the
Seems-
Darwins and stuff.
Yeah, there's a
Like-
lot of people that have seemed to get that. They've got that bug where they want to try it out. I've got a handful of friends that talked about how they'd love to try stuff outdoors, and like I'm not brave enough to do it.
No,
I worry too much about
yeah.
other
Yeah,
native stuff.
We got
right.
too many.
Yeah.
We got too many varmints around here
Yeah.
for that, man. I
think
I
they're
can't.
freaking.
I won't do it, man.
I've seen what they do
refuse.
to chickens. I'm not
Yeah.
letting them do that to my snakes.
No,
Yep.
no. I've
But-
I've thought about trying to do like a sunroom type deal that's completely
Oh, yeah.
screened in. I've thought about that like a lot, and I think that would be really cool.
I used to keep a
Um,
panther chameleon when I was a kid in a sunroom,
There you
and
go.
it worked out really well. In a
Nice.
Jackson's, it worked out really
Mm-hmm.
well. When I wasn't going to work for 10 hours a day, I could actually take care of a chameleon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think there's something that's been trying to dig into the mouse shed, like under the door,
Mm,
and I'm thinking it's either a raccoon or a possum. But
probably a raccoon.
keep filling the hole in, and every time I go over there, it's like dug back out.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
a little bit more every time.
But I don't know if they've actually gotten in there or not because I put like where we throw the old shavings in. I
Mm.
like put that bin in front of it. I mean, a
Mm.
big raccoon could easily just like shove that
Yeah.
out the way. They don't care.
Yeah.
But I'm about to find some rocks or something to put in there because
Yeah.
I'm like whatever it is trying to get in there. I mean, I don't think they could get to any of the mice.
I don't know, man. I bet you they'd figure it out.
I don't
They're
I've seen
pretty
those things.
smart.
I've seen those things tear out of a have a heart trap. They can,
Yeah,
they
totally.
can get into those mice
It's
bins.
so ironic that it's called.
There's
half
also
heart.
the metal flashing that you can buy, and just some self-tapping screws on the
Mhm.
outside of the building. Maybe just make it harder for them to scratch through.
Well, it's a giant like barn door that rolls.
Oh, okay,
And they're digging under part of that. So
Yeah.
I don't.
that's tough.
It could be one of my parents' cats too. I don't know, but it seems like much more of a raccoonish sort of
Yeah.
thing.
I want to try to breed a little mice this upcoming year. I kind of have this thought where I've got a raised garden bed that I built. I kind of want to grow all the food that the mouse would eat, and then feed it to the mouse, and then have a package of fuzzies or something that I can feed off to my snakes and feel really good about it.
Mm-hmm.
Where the food comes from and
Yeah.
where the mice go and stuff like that.
I think if you got the space, it's 100% worth it.
Yeah,
It's really not that time consuming.
Mhm.
Even given what we've got going on, it's not anything major. I think even if it's just one of us cleaning, it's only like an hour's worth of work, maybe.
Oh, really?
And
Okay.
that's kind of just moving at my own pace. But like when both of us are working them,
It's no
we're
time.
in and out of there in like 20 minutes.
No
Nice.
time.
Yeah, it's
Nice.
so.
That's cool. I didn't know that. Yeah, I get a little sniffy though around them. So
Oh,
rodents.
do you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it's just kind of like if I had them, it'd be like one little group in the back shed or something.
Yeah, they kick my allergies every time I go over there. I can't tell if it's just the season or if it's the mice, but it seems like every time we go over and do them, it could be the hay too
Yeah.
that we put in there. It's I'm pretty
It's pretty
sensitive
dusty.
to a lot of dust and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
probably
But with the small collection, it's
like
even with
yeah,
the price,
it's manageable.
not too bad. Yeah.
No.
I think it's overall. I think it's cheaper than buying. Even
Yeah.
like if you look at it in terms of like annual costs,
Yeah.
I think it's. What do you think it's cheaper?
I haven't really gotten any mice from us.
Well, I just mean
thus
in
far.
general, like seeing like what we've had to pay.
Yeah,
per
seeing
month.
what we're producing, like even though we're stocking up a lot right now. We haven't really
Trying
cold.
to,
Yeah, we're trying to. I know you're taking a little bit here and there, or more than that.
just to
But
feed the kids,
yeah,
and the little ones.
but seeing what we put out versus what I just spent on mice not too long ago, it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, I got not too many mice for quite a bit of money the other day.
Yeah, no, it's kind of ridiculous, but
And I like to I seasonally feed pretty much everything, and even if that means I'm still feeding, I'm choosing prey items by the season. So I start off with mice, go to birds, and not many of my stuff gets rats because you can kind of fill that size with birds. But like they'll get 1 or 2 rats a year at the end of the year, right before if they're a python, right before they stop eating for a month or 2. That's stuff that keeps eating all year. Like Candoya, I don't really know if they go through that kind of seasonality because those islands are so kind of stable in their temperature. I know it gets chilly there. So I'm not sure. I need to do more.
They'd go off like a rainy/dry season.
Yeah, something like that. Of prey items, the type of prey items for them. Not so much like not feeding them. It's like this time of year, I think you're getting birds, or this time of year,
Right.
you might get. I think rats might be a thing this time, and I don't really know for sure. I'm just kind of guessing, but
Right.
that's kind of what I've been doing. But man, it'd be nice to feed some mice that I grew on some stuff I grew in my backyard.
Yeah, for sure.
How cool would that be?
Yeah.
It's definitely nice knowing what what's going into them.
Yeah.
They're not just some sort of mystery of what were they fed and how were they kept before they got sent to me. And
or when you open the bag and it's just like, oh man, I can't feed these to my snake. I got to get rid of these ones, which sucks.
Yeah.
We get some like the older ones. They'll get like these
tumors.
I guess I don't know if they're necessarily tumors for sure, but they get these giant sort of knots on them in some parts, and I don't even like feeding those, so I'll usually call them and just toss them in the woods for something to eat. But the snakes would probably eat them no problem, not have any issues as a result. But it weirds me out. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or like, have you ever seen an XL mouse? Oh my god, those things are just like nasty almost. It's like this tiny head and like huge body, and that male pinstripe ball python only eats mice, unfortunately.
So, I just ordered some hairless mice for the first time for some water snakes I'm getting, and my god, those things are hideous. They're disgusting. Like they look like massive pinkies.
Yeah.
Are they like adults?
It's yeah, almost. They're like medium sized adults.
And they're just hairless like genetically hairless.
I guess I got them from Rodent Pro.
They don't shave them before they send them to you.
I assume not. Yeah, no.
That would be
ask dumb questions, get dumb answers, dude. I don't know what to
job
tell
would
you.
suck.
Yeah. I don't think I
no. Yeah, no.
Shave
They're
2,000 mice.
They're disgusting.
By the end of the
They're
day.
disgusting, dude. I don't know. They just look like scrotums. It's weird.
Frozen scrotes.
Yeah.
Are you doing that with Are you doing that with the Nerodia so they don't eat all that hair?
Yeah, so they kind of reject stuff with hair. Mine won't even eat them. I have some that could take, like fuzzies and stuff like that, no problem. I tried it one time before I knew about this, and once I was told about it, it made sense because I offered one a fuzzy. It grabbed it because it smelled mouse, and it immediately spit it out. And I was talking to Chris Montross, and he was like, yeah, they actually they have a hard time digesting that stuff. Sometimes, they'll throw it up, or it comes out, it doesn't come out very well. And he said a lot of his will just reject the prey if it has hair on it, because they don't eat a lot of haired, rodents. Their diet consists of frogs and fish.
You need to get them on them frog legs, man.
Yeah, they're definitely gonna get some frog legs mixed with the hairless mice.
I need to buy some
and
more
fish. I still have a bunch. I haven't thawed some out in a while, but
frog legs.
Yeah, I have a ton.
Did you get a box of those?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I got some a while ago.
I'm all about feeding off some frog legs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to get some. I'd like to get the salt marsh that
Yeah.
Those things are
Clark eye.
Yeah. What is it, like compressa something Clark eye? But yeah, those things are really cool.
Silver ones are really cool.
Yeah,
they're very neat.
And I've heard they're much. Yeah, I've heard they're much more chill than regular Nerodia too. Like they're not nearly as.
But as babies, they are freaking tiny.
Yeah,
holy smokes, they are very, very small. I actually found a Clark eye while I was in Florida.
Oh, cool.
Which I thought that was.
Was it a red one?
No, it was more like a black and tan.
Okay.
So it was cool.
It's almost like you got to start breeding guppies or something like that.
Yeah, no, and you can chop, because I feed them pretty much all mine eat chopped up tilapia and pinkies. So I mean, those little Clark eye, you'd have to supplement with something other than just the fish, because they'd probably be too small. I mean, you could chop up pinky parts, I guess, but you can feed them really small pieces of tilapia, just
nice.
Give it a little added, and then we could.
I'm sure that tilapia would be more nutritious than a pinky.
Yeah, no, it's very easy to get. You just get a whole bag of fillets from Walmart, and you're good to go.
I like the Nerodia and the Thamnophis. I love garter snakes. I found 6. I'm trying to get 10 in 1 year. That's my goal this year.
There you go.
And I'd like to keep some. I'd like the Coast Garter, so it's kind of like the California red side, but without the blue. So a lot of red and black and stuff like that. I really like that species.
Nice.
I found some of the in one weekend. I found California red-sided, aquatic garter intergrade. So there's a space where the 3 types, Diablo Range, Oregon, and the other one, Santa Cruz, aquatic garters all integrate. So I found one of those, really cool, and the Coast Garter all in one day. Super good day.
Nice.
Yeah, super good.
Those freaking, what is it, Lake
and
Chopper?
3 rubber boas. And 3 rubber boas that day. That was
nice.
that was a good day.
Awesome.
Yeah, those Lake Chopper garters are freaking cool too, man.
I think it's Lake Chapala.
Chapala. Yeah, the high Mexican lakes.
Lake Chopper.
Yeah, those Mexican locality garters get mammoth, man. They're huge.
Yep. I'm going to try to find the next one I'm going for is the giant garter. So in Sacramento Valley.
Oh yeah.
I'd like to see one of those. I guess those get very big too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get some pretty decent sized Easterns here.
Nothing like those.
I mean, nothing like those. I've seen some chunky Easterns here.
Yeah, we'll get chunky Easterns, but it doesn't stand up.
Just short and beefy.
Yeah.
I found a mountain garter at 7,200 feet while hiking a mountain in October.
Jeez.
Last year.
That's
it was
crazy.
Awesome. I was like, just kind of going off trail. There's this beautiful lake and river underneath a mountain, super scenic. And wait, what? That's a garter. And I was like, grabbed it, and it was like super cold. And but I was just holding it. It was an awesome little mountain garter. Super pretty.
That's awesome.
What are you doing? Go back. Go underground. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Herpin's been on and off this year, though. It's been cold.
Yeah.
Warm and cold and warm. So.
Yeah, it's been like that here.
Same. Yeah, I found a rattlesnake when it was like 55 degrees out the other day.
Nice.
It was pretty crazy.
55, really?
Yeah, no, like legit. It was like 55
It's
degrees
2
when we
weekends
found him.
ago.
Wasn't even in the sun. It was cloud coverage, the whole 9 yards. He was just sitting on the edge of a path. So, yeah, it was interesting.
I've been finding stuff on bike paths lately. That's my new thing. It's like
Oh,
road herping, but slower.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and I prefer a slower pace. I would rather ride a trail on a bike than, but I know more areas for cars. So
Boards have become very. I've met some people and gone and flipped some board
oh,
events, and
yeah.
I like it. Not much energy involved.
Yeah.
Just kind of walking. Oh, there's 3 snakes.
Yeah.
Better than hiking them down.
Absolutely. Well, we are at an hour 45. Anything else we want to go over before we
I think we covered everything.
finish skinning this cat?
Cool.
If people want more information on, the dog training or anything like that, where can they do that?
So Get Rattled is the name of the business on Facebook, and they do every states all the way from Oregon, California, Nevada, and Colorado.
Nice.
So classes all over the West Coast, and so just Get Rattled on Facebook. You see some of the cool snakes that we're working with too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if anyone has any questions as far as like electrical stuff or
Yeah,
get in contact with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, or especially if you got any like burnt out equipment that you want to send me, I'll pay for the shipping. I'm Peerless Dylan or Dylan Peerless on Facebook, and then
Nice.
Freaky 1991 on Instagram. PHR.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, we really appreciate you coming on. This was definitely an interesting episode. A little outside of the box a little bit. So that's
I'll have to do another one on herping at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do a lot of herping, a lot of miles, beat up a lot of cars.
For sure.
Just means you're doing it right.
Oh yeah.
I'll have to come on Snakes and Stogies sometimes, huh?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I was going to tonight, but man, it is like piss and rain and 40 degrees out there.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to sit in that for 2 hours.
Yeah, no, definitely not. But,
all right. Well, we appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Super fun.
Yeah, man. This is episode 158 of THP, brought to you by BlackBoxCages.com and Steve Snakesuary. Check out both. We will be back for Snakes and Stogies on Monday, episode 117. And I have no idea what we're going to do. We usually don't until, like, Phil texts me that morning. He's like, what do you got planned? And I'm like, nothing. And he's like, okay. I'll figure something out. And then, so.
Cool.
It's just how we roll around here.
Yep. Awesome. Well, I will see y'all next week.
That's right. Everybody have a good evening, good morning, good day, whatever it is. Thank you.
Bye.